So it may come as no surprise to you guys that a lot of people come to YNAB because they feel that their spending is out of control. They're hoping that a budget will rein things in. But let's face it, there are going to be times when you need or want to spend more than you have in a given category. What do you do then? Well, today we're going to talk about how to tackle that exact issue. So I want everyone to pretend that we've gone back in time and it's the 26th of February, okay? And I just finished a fabulous dinner with a friend that I haven't seen in months. And my friend turns to me and says, "Hey, let's hit that local comedy club that we used to go to back in college. It'll be a lot of fun." Now, right away, I know that it's going to cost $30 to get into this club. Again, we used to go all the time back in college. So I pull my budget up on my phone and I check. I scroll down and I can see that I don't have any money in my fun money category. Not a nickel. But I know that I'm going to go to this comedy club. I hardly ever get to see this friend, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, since I know I'm going to spend the money, I'm going to find the money first so I don't overspend. But how do I decide where to take it from? Well, I have certain categories that are pretty untouchable in my budget. Things like my rent, my groceries, insurance, those kind of things. I would never touch these because I really need the money that's assigned there. Then there are some that I could change if I needed to: clothing, gifts, travel, those kinds of categories. And then there are some that I really could change at any moment, and it's really not that big of a deal. My go to categories. It's really a continuum, and it's going to be different for everyone. So yours might not look just like that, and that's okay. For example, in my situation, I can't touch my electric bill money, got to pay that bill, and I really don't want to touch my groceries or transportation. There's still plenty of February left that I'll need that money. My true expenses, I could touch if I needed to, but they feel pretty sacred to me, and I really don't want to touch my car insurance or auto maintenance money. These ones, again, could change them, but rather not if I can. So I'm going to avoid taking money from there. I think I'll go ahead and take this $15 from my dining out category, since that's a go-to category for me. And I'll do that by just swiping right on my fun money category. And I'm going to say I want to take $15 from dining out to fun money, and I'll hit move. And you can see that money moves right on down to that category. And this last $15, it's going to have to come from my vacation category, but I'm okay with that. Like I said, I hardly ever get to see this friend, so it's special. Suddenly, it's a higher priority for me. So again, I'll swipe right on fun money, and I'll move $15 from vacation to my fun money category. And now I have $30 available for that ticket. My friend and I, we head on down the street to that comedy club. I'll go ahead and say I'm going to buy that. I bought that ticket now. I'll put that $30 in for the comedy club. They're the ones who get the money coming from my fun money category. And this happened on February 26th. So again, we're living in the future or in the past here a little bit. There we go. And now I've spent that money on the ticket. So this is the proactive approach. I know that I'm going to go to that comedy club. Nothing was budgeted, so I moved the money first. How many of you would trade some money from vacation and dining out to go to that comedy club? Let me know if you think you would do that. You can send over a yes or no, or let me know what you think in that chat box. Zabdi says that they would. Jessica says that she would as well. Yeah. And Melanie also. Yep, I think I would also, obviously. Well, here's why finding the money first is powerful. In some situations, I might look at my options and decide not to spend. What if instead of a special night at the comedy club with a friend that I haven't seen in a while, my spouse was just saying, "I don't feel like cooking, let's order Chinese food"? How many of you would trade your vacation and dining out money for that? I'm getting a couple different answers this time. A couple yeses still. Yeah, Zabdi says maybe. Jessica says no. But most of you are saying no, and that's fine. But keep in mind here, your priorities fluctuate depending on your situation. What if it had been a horrible week and everything that could go wrong went wrong? You had to work overtime. You're exhausted and there's no food in the house. And maybe you haven't ordered Chinese food in months. You might say, let's do it. You might still say no. The budget police are not going to come to your house and ask you why you're ordering Chinese food. Okay, there is no budget police department at YNAB. This is about your priorities. So, whether your week has been bad or good, it's fine to do that if you're genuinely okay with taking that money from vacation. The big point here is that if you spend without weighing the trade offs first, you lose the opportunity to change your mind. Once the money's gone, it's gone. And you may compromise your progress on your other priorities without even realizing it. Now, these situations aren't always discretionary, and sometimes you don't get a chance to move the money first. For example, I'm back at the computer and I check my bank and I see that my electric bill has been posted. It's for $78. So I go into YNAB, I record this transaction. Again, this is all happening in February. And we'll say that that money is the payee is the electric company. They're the ones who get the money. It's going to come from my electric category, and it was for $78. Well, if I look back over at the budget, I can see that, shoot, that was $3 more than I budgeted. But there was no choice here, right? I have to pay my electric bill, plus that money is already gone. It's not like I can take it back. But that's okay. I can roll with this overspending. I'm going to go ahead and click on this overspending, and I'm going to cover this from, and I think I'll take this from my auto maintenance category, and that'll be okay. $3 isn't that big of a deal to me right now. Okay, so now you can see it adjusts. I now have $97 in auto maintenance. I have that $78 that I spent in electric. Problem solved, no big deal. It's okay for overspending to happen. You just have to roll with the punches when it does. So are you guys feeling a little bit more comfortable with how to deal with overspending? If you have any other questions, feel free to send those on over now. I'd be happy to answer those. If you'd like to chat live with me on the mic, you can put mic at the end of your question. And so while you're typing those over, another question I have for you guys is, have you ever felt guilty for changing your budget? Gone in and had to adjust those numbers one month or another and felt bad about it? Oh, Jessica says, yes, Melanie too. I totally understand that, guys. And that feeling doesn't feel good, does it? Well, let's flip that idea on its head a little bit, okay? Because I don't want you to feel guilty anymore. Imagine that I have 2 hours free on Wednesday afternoon, okay? And I plan on working in the garden and going to the grocery store. And then my husband calls and says that his car won't start. Well, do you think that I'm going to say, oh, sorry, Chris, I already made plans. I'm working in the garden and going to the grocery store, so I'm not going to be able to help you? No, right? I'm gonna jump start his car. I'm not gonna work in the garden, but maybe I'll pick up a few groceries on the way home, right? What exactly did I fail at there? Nothing, right? My situation changed. The information changed. So I changed along with it. Now, imagine a similar situation with money. Remember that electric bill from before where I had $75 for that electric bill, but the bill was actually $78? Well, what exactly did I fail at there? I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see everything coming. I can learn from it for sure, though, right? So moving forward, maybe I'll start budgeting $80 a month towards groceries. But what do I do right now? The bill was more and I was short. That money had to come from somewhere, right? Here's another question for you guys. Have you ever been in a situation where you spent more than you intended to and then asked yourself, oh my gosh, where is this money going to come from? And then felt bad about it? Yes, yep, I got a bunch of yeses came right over from that one. But that's the right question, right? Of course, you need to know where the money's going to come from. But without a flexible budget, it's hard to answer that question. And that's the problem with the old school method of budgeting, where you set the budget, you stick to it no matter what. It's basically impossible. That's not realistic or helpful. Instead, it would be better to look at the budget right now and find the money first. That's proactive. And realistically, that's what you're going to have to do anyways. If you're going to pay for it, adjust the budget to reflect that reality and acknowledge that budgeting is a process. And it's more important to stick to the process of budgeting than to stick to one set of numbers that made sense a week ago but doesn't make sense anymore today. One of our other instructors, Lee, always likes to say, you chose those numbers to begin with. Why can't you choose to change them? And the answer is you can, right? Zaddy has a question here. What if you had cash and spent the cash, then deposited the change? Should I still go ahead and enter the cash received and cash spent, even if it won't show up on my bank account activity? You might want to know that it's moving around, Zaddy. There's no reason not to record that. Do you have a cash account in your budget? I'm guessing that you do, since you said it moved from one to the next. Oh, no, you don't. Okay. Well, that is an option too. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop a link in the chat box there. You type cash into this little help document section here. Handling cash will give you an idea of how YNAB works. You basically just add an account called your wallet, and that'll show you how you can do that here. When you add your accounts here, you would just select cash as the kind, and then you can show money moving between accounts pretty easily. It doesn't affect the total amount of money you have in your budget, though. It's just moving between where it lives. Just joined a few days ago. Glad to have you. Wonderful. I'm glad you're taking advantage of some of these workshops. I also want to mention there's another workshop specifically on cash. If you click on your email address in the bottom left here, you can hit join a workshop. This one's relatively new, so I definitely suggest giving it a watch. It's called Handling Cash. It's right here. So definitely give that one a watch if you have some time as well. Melanie says, just coping with that now, overspent in groceries. I gotcha, Melanie. Especially, we're getting near the end of the month. That's usually when that starts to happen for me. But again, I'm not sure if you checked out our Saving Money on Groceries workshop. There are going to be months where you spend more than others. Maybe you ran out of a stocked up thing that you had for a long time. You got to buy it, right? Every time I go to Costco, I tend to kind of overspend a little bit there. But I'm usually buying things for long term, right? And so if you buy a lot of one thing that's on sale, then you're eating at that sale price the whole time. And so it's worth it sometimes to move things around. So yeah, thanks for commenting on this, guys. It really does make the workshop nice when we're kind of all working together here. Another question I have for you is people that are budgeting with partners. Sometimes we find that one partner might be a little more enthusiastic about YNAB than the other. Does that describe anybody here? Sabrina says yes. That describes her situation. I was there. I was definitely there. Jessica too. So the nice thing here is that first of all, this is kind of a tough problem. Melanie says that she understands too. You might be sold on the idea of budgeting, but your spouse or your partner isn't there just yet. The first thing that you want to keep in mind here is that your partner probably has a completely different perspective of budgeting than you do. They might be thinking that a budget means that they can't spend any money. They might even think that you think that they've been irresponsible. So empathy is really, really important here. Okay. This is your chance, though, to show them that the old school idea of a budget, which is something that stops spending and is restrictive, is wrong. Our first recommendation is to find something that your partner wants or has wanted for a while and use the budget to make that happen. In my case, it was my husband really wanted a new grill. So we discussed it. We figured out how much it would cost. We made a category for it. We called it New Grill. We set a goal for it. We knew that we wanted to save, I think it was like $450 by the summertime. And YNAB told us we had to put aside $75 a month between now and that summertime. And then we just went and bought the grill. And this allowed him to see the budget is a tool for getting what we want, not something that tells you that you can't spend any money. The second thing that you can do is make sure you each have your own category of spending money that you can use for anything you want. So you don't have to check in with each other on it. It could be $100 a month or $10 a week, whatever works for you right now. But you guys can take that out of the bank and use it on anything you want. And there's that same message. You need some walking around money, the budget can make that happen for you. And then finally, it's important to note that there are times when you do need to stick to the budget and stay on top of things, right? From moving from one month to the next, especially, you want to make sure that we're accounting for all of our purchases. Luckily, though, we have that free app for Android and iPhone that makes that really easy. So you can set up the app on both your phones, on your tablets, on all the computers. Just link it all with the same account. And then that way, at the very least, maybe your partner can check before spending. And with some luck, possibly enter spending right there at the point of sale. There are really three sets of priorities when you're budgeting with a partner. yours, mine, and ours. And you have to think about the needs of your budgeting partner, especially if they're contributing to overspending, because it's when you work together that it really works the best. And also, a budget meeting is a great idea. Once a month, clear schedules, sit down, and with one purpose in mind, which is making sure your money is still aligned with your priorities. That's the key here. So hopefully those are some tips for you guys to use on budgeting with a partner. Yeah, let us know how that works out for you. I know that some people it clicks and they're on board 150%. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, so just be patient. It's worth it, I promise. All right, guys. Well, I do want to mention the next workshop coming up is, let's see, it's called Create a Debt Paydown Goal. It's going to start at the top of the next hour, so 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And Mr. Lee is going to be teaching that. Lee is a wonderful instructor. It looks like Sabrina is going to be joining him over there. Will you tell him I say hi, Sabrina? He's a really wonderful instructor. Thank you for your kind words, Zebdi. I'm so glad that this was helpful for you. I want to thank you guys for spending this time with me. Feel free to take these workshops as many times as you need until you feel comfortable. They're always 20 minutes. They're always free, and you're welcome back anytime. Take care for now, everyone. Happy budgeting.